Today I'm telling you about the anime, the kingdom of ruin. In the starting, after God created humanity, he created witches, who he shared his power with, telling them to guide the humans in his place. The witches were dedicated in their role, but after thousands of years, the humans ended up despising them and hunting them down. We meet a witch named Morgan and her young apprentice Adonis. They appear to be lost in the desert as Morgan looks at her map. She struggles to find where they are, but Adonis just opens up his Google Maps. Morgan warns him against using his strange device as we learn they are being hunted, but Adonis tells her that it's just a phone that he made himself. He explains that it runs on summoning magic, which replaces the need for radio waves, so even the army's technology can't track them. Adonis calls his master lame for still using a paper map in their day and age, but Morgan ends up teaching him a lesson. She tells him to stop sulking, but Adonis thinks about why they need to keep running. Morgan explains that it's just how she has to live since people's attitudes towards witches have changed. All she can do is try to blend in the cities, saying she's more like a ninja rather than a witch. The two are looking for a place that's more tolerant towards witches so that they can live in peace. Morgan thinks they'll need to find a place with a school for Adonis, but Adonis says he just wants to keep learning from her. Morgan makes fun of him for liking older women, and the two continue on their way. But at that moment, they are found by a squad of soldiers. Adonis wants to handle them, but Morgan tells him he's still too inexperienced. She uses her ice magic, summoning her staff, and she prepares to fight. Meanwhile, in the Empire of Radia, we see the Emperor Guth. As he receives a report about their failed attempt at catching Morgan, the man is beaten for his incompetence, and the Emperor demands that they catch her at all costs. We see that Morgan has defeated all the men, and she tells Adonis that it's time to go, but Adonis wonders why she won't let him fight, thinking he could have handled the soldiers. He summons an enormous sword to prove his point, but Morgan tells him once again that he's still too inexperienced. However, Adonis thinks that the real reason is because he is a human himself, and she doesn't want him to kill his own kind, but he says he doesn't care about that, saying he just wants to be able to protect her. Morgan is touched by his words, and she acknowledges his feelings. But at that moment, one of the soldiers' devices activates, transmitting their location. The ground suddenly starts to shake, and the two are surrounded by green light. They are shocked by what's going on, but they manage to stick together as they are teleported away. We see the Emperor addressing his people. He talks about how they used to rely on witches for knowledge and their protection, but he thinks it's absurd that they must always be inferior to them. Thanks to their countless developments in technology, they have become strong. So he declares that it's their time to eradicate the witches and establish themselves as the rulers of the world. The people cheer for him, and at that moment, Morgan and Adonis suddenly appear. They are shocked at their situation, and they recognize they are in front of the Emperor. Adonis rushes forward as he tries to buy time for his master to run, but he ends up being restrained. Morgan tells them to let him go as she threatens to kill everyone around. The Emperor is unfazed by her threat, so Morgan starts preparing her spell. She notes that she didn't want to fight them because she wanted Adonis to have a home he could return to. She's about to activate her spell, but her magic suddenly shatters. She can't believe what's happening, and the Emperor tells her she has no idea of the level their science has advanced to. We see a device underground that is stopping her magic, and all the people laugh at her. Adonis tries to use his magic, but his power is also gone. The Emperor tells Morgan that the age of the witch is over as he rips her shirt and slaps her down. Adonis gets free and tries to help, but he just gets held down again. The Emperor gets annoyed at his outburst, so he orders his men to kill him, but Morgan bows down to the Emperor, begging him to spare Adonis since he's a human. She claims she kidnapped him and raised him as her slave, so there's no reason to kill him. She tells the Emperor to just take her life, and Adonis can't believe what she's saying. Adonis keeps trying to use his magic, but it's no use. The Emperor prepares to finish her off, and she thanks Adonis for everything, remembering how they first met and the time and the happiness that they shared together. She tells him she loves him, but the Emperor shoots her, and she gets shredded by the firing squad. Adonis watches in horror as the Emperor proceeds to display Morgan's head to the people. 10 years later, in one of the Empire's detention facilities, we see two women fighting over a loaf of bread, but a girl named Lolo breaks them up, offering to give them her share. The woman quickly snatches it, but Lolo's friend Anna wonders if she'll be okay without food. Lolo shows off how much energy she has, so she tells her not to worry. Anna can't believe Lolo can still help others in their situation. She thinks about how even though the witches were exterminated and their technology keeps advancing, there has still been endless war. We learn that they are prisoners of war, but Doro tries to cheer her friend up with a puppet show. The guards suddenly come in calling for a prisoner with the Node 218. The girls know that the people who get called never come back, and we see they're looking for Anna. The guard demands them to come out, and Lolo ends up stepping forward. Anna cries as she realizes what Lolo did for her. Lolo is taken to the warden, and we learn that the girls are being sold as slaves. She can't believe her fate, and the warden takes a selfie with her for his record. Lolo suddenly bites his finger, and she manages to escape. We see that she also took his phone, and she tries to use it to open all the other cells, but the thorn requires the warden's voice to work. She does her best impression of the warden, and it actually works, opening all of the cells. She tells everyone to run, and chaos ensues. She tries to find a way out, but ends up in a strange room. She's caught by one of the guards, but the containment unit in the middle also starts to unlock, revealing a person who was completely sealed. The man suddenly breaks free, and we see that it's Adonis. The guards start to panic seeing him get free, but he instantly jumps onto one of them, taking them out straight away. The other guard tries to shoot him, but he carries it and shoots the guard with his own gun. Lolo gets scared as he approaches her. He shoots her, but he ends up setting her free. The guards panic as they try to control the situation, and we see that at the National Security Bureau, or NSB, the director Yamato receives a report about this. He orders his executive Aika to deal with it, and he happily agrees, but Yamato's sister Yuki isn't happy with his carefree attitude, reminding him that they are the cornerstone for maintaining order in the empire. But Yamato tells her it's okay, reminding her that there's a reason that he's an executive back at the prison. The warden panics as he finds that Adonis has gotten free. He wonders how Lolo could have opened his chamber, because even his fawn shouldn't have had the clearance to free him. And to make matters worse, it seems that Adonis's magic pen has also gone missing. We see Adonis outside, and he tries out his magic for the first time in 10 years. He shoots his gun, summoning an enormous bullet, which crashes into a building, and he prepares to wipe out everyone in the city. We saw Adonis was completely sealed and suddenly breaks free. He instantly jumps onto one of them and kills all guards after that. We see Adonis outside, and he tries out his magic for the first time in 10 years. He shoots his gun, summoning an enormous bullet, which crashes into a building, and he prepares to wipe out everyone in the city. Now we see ICA cleaning things up at the prison, but he reports that he didn't find Adonis. He hears about the building that was attacked, so he prepares to head over, but he takes out the warden first. We see Lolo also manages to get out, but seeing the damage Adonis has caused, she thinks it's her fault that she set him free. As he walks through the street, Adonis thinks about how his master wouldn't want him to get revenge, but he just can't let go of what happened. He summons a giant robot, and he starts going on a rampage. We see an officer receiving a report about this, but he just thinks he's being pranked. A car suddenly crashes through the wall, and the driver is shocked by what he saw. The officer thinks the man is high, but when he looks outside, he sees what's going on. We see Yamato and Yuki observing from a distance, and they confirm that Adonis is behind the attack. Yamato thinks they can just use their magic suppression device to stop him, but he's reminded that it hasn't been used in 10 years, so they aren't sure if it will still work properly. A state of emergency is declared, and we see tanks being deployed. They fire at the giant, but their shots seem to just miss. Adonis retaliates by smashing a building and throwing debris at his enemies. We learn that for a human to use magic, writing-style summoning magic is the only way it works, by understanding and systemizing the mechanisms of magic. And even while he was sealed away, he was able to practice it in his mind, so it didn't matter that he was sealed away for 10 years.
He thinks that all the citizens who benefited from his girlfriend's death are just as guilty, so he plans on wiping out the whole country. He summons 2 Gatling guns and he starts mewing everyone down. But despite getting his revenge, it doesn't feel quite right and he starts to cry. Hika spots that Adonis is in the giant's hand and the NSB deploys its jets. They bombing with missiles, and we see the civilians getting caught in the crossfire. A massive building is about to fall onto a child, but Lolo saves him just in time. She apologizes for everything that's happened, but she promises to make things right. Meanwhile, at the palace, we see the emperor in bed and we learn he is suffering from an incurable illness. He wonders if it's a curse from God, but he doesn't repent for what he did, thinking that getting rid of the witches was a necessary thing to do for the sake of the human race. We see Adonis engaging against the soldiers on the ground, but his magic is just too strong, and he wipes them all out. He is about to finish off the last soldier, but Lolo suddenly begs him to stop, thinking he has done enough, saying she doesn't want to see any more innocent people die. But this just pisses him off. He thinks about how he let her go because she was from a different country, but thinks he should just exterminate everyone. Lolo tells him that Morgan wouldn't want to see him like this, but he tells her not to use his girlfriend's name. He wonders if the humans are just using her as a distraction, remembering how they like to fight dirty. But Lolo reveals that she's a witch. Adonis doesn't believe that witches still exist, but she swears that it's true, saying some of them survived. Adonis wonders why they didn't try to save his master, but she says they were desperate to get away themselves. Adonis doesn't want to hear her apologies, but she mentions that they can bring her back to life. Adonis finds this hard to believe, but Lolo says she infiltrated the country to find him so that they could use his memories to bring his girlfriend back. Adonis prepares to finish her off, but looking at her face, he's reminded of his girlfriend. He breaks down in tears, and Lolo tells him he's no longer alone, but she suddenly gets shot, and Ika can't believe that he missed Adonis.
In a flashback, we see a burning village, where Lolo watches as the soldiers eliminate the witches. The witch Mia reveals that the humans attacked without warning, and Lolo wonders why they are doing this, because the witches didn't do anything to deserve this. Mia knows that they can't fight back, because a device is preventing them from using magic, so she tells Lolo to escape and inform their leader, Ophelia, about the incident. She advises Lolo to follow the Star of Revelation, saying it will lead her to Ophelia's mansion. Mia tells her to run as fast as she can, so she dashes away, fleeing from the village, as the soldiers surround Mia. Back in the present, Lolo is mortally wounded, but Adonis tells her to hold on. Asking her how he can revive Morgan, she gives him a valuable piece of information, but the soldiers suddenly start firing at them, ending Lolo's life. Adonis realizes that he is surrounded, and the soldiers open fire, but his magic stops the bullets in midair, and he sends them back at the soldiers. Heka tries to snipe Adonis, but he controls the bullet, making it enormous, and sending it back to Heka, killing him in an instant. Meanwhile, Yuki makes her way to the magic suppressing device, thinking about activating it to defeat Adonis. But the director Theta stops her, telling her that they can't activate the device. Yuki demands an explanation, so Theta calls Yamato, telling him that there is something strange about the device. She reveals that it releases certain particles that are linked to the development of a deadly disease which kills the cells in the human body, explaining why the soldiers involved in the witch hunt suffered terrible fates. She goes on to explain that the natural environment has changed after the witches were eliminated, so the atmosphere that gets rid of the particles is now gone, making the device even deadlier than it was before. Theta reminds Yamato that the Emperor was also exposed to this device, explaining why he is now suffering from an incurable disease. Yamato observes Adonis as he continues his rampage, while Theta tells Yuki to leave, but she rushes to the device instead, knowing that Adonis is a threat to everyone. Thea orders everyone to retreat as she chases after Yuki, telling her not to activate it, but she still proceeds to do so. Adonis suddenly drops his pen, and Yamato receives a call from Theta, who tells him that everything is fine. Because she has already disabled the device, he is worried about Yuki, but Thea tells him to deal with Adonis because they can't defeat him if he starts using magic again, reminding him that they can't lose because the Empire is supposed to be invincible. So he orders the soldiers to charge as Adonis tries to retrieve his pen. The soldiers prepare to fire, but a girl rushes forward as a nearby building collapses, obstructing their line of vision. The girl prepares to execute Adonis, who embraces his fate, happy that he will finally be with Morgan again. She manages to behead him, and as the dust settles, she presents his head to the soldiers, who are happy that the threat has finally been dealt with. Everyone celebrates the victory, but Yamato tells them that it's too early to celebrate, because they still need to collect Adonis's body and rescue the victims in the area. He looks at the soldier who killed Adonis as an official, informs him that she is a new recruit, saying he will look into her background, but Yamato tells him not to bother, ordering him to look for Yuki. Instead, Thea and Yuki receive medical attention as the Emperor delivers a speech telling everyone that Adonis caused the disaster leading to the deaths of many. He reveals that they don't know how Adonis can use magic because he is just a human being, and the Emperor feels guilty for allowing him to live for so long. But the Emperor tells everyone not to worry, saying their empire is the greatest because it has acquired the power of science along with the best soldiers in the world. Now we see a girl named Eri, who has just finished watching the Emperor's speech. The instructor informs everyone that students died because of the incident, but they will still push through with the exams. One of the students wonders why Adonis has sided with the witches despite being a human, and the instructor thinks that he must have been brainwashed. After class, Ari is approached by another girl, who says she knows what happened, but Ari tells her that it was a normal reaction to the situation. Ari visits the place where the incident occurred, and she pays her respect to the dead, revealing that she is angry at the government for not protecting its citizens. She apologizes to her boyfriend, thinking he must really hate her because she had the chance to save him when Adonis went on a rampage. But when she saw the giant robot, she immediately ran away, and he ended up getting crushed. She hates herself for abandoning him, but she looks at the pictures of Adonis, revealing that she finds him attractive. But at that moment, Ari realizes that the deputy director Oz is watching her. She knows that he is working with the government, but he tells her not to worry because he won't report her, however. After she leaves, he calls his subordinate Charmy, telling her that Eerie has been influenced by the terrorists, so they need to arrest her for treason. A soldier informs him that they've completed the final check in the disaster area, and as they are about to head back, Charmy informs him that an unbelievable analysis came in, revealing that Adonis's body was fake, so he might still be alive. But that's where this video ends. To not miss the next part, please subscribe to the channel if you enjoy the video, so hit the like button and comment. Thanks for watching. Peace out.